Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's a brand new season of Coffee Talk with Friends, and it's your boy Sir Wilkins here, and I hope all is well. I got some special guests here, and usually I like introducing them, but these two are doing some fire stuff online, and I'm enjoying their content, so I'm not going to introduce them. They're going to introduce themselves. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, round of applause. Let's go. Guest, let the people know who you are.
Well, what's up? I'm Dustin.
And I'm Chriselle, and we're from the Unexpected Wrestling Podcast.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, welcome. The Unexpected Wrestling Podcast. I love the name. First things first, how did you come up with the name?
I'll go ahead with this one.
Go ahead with it.
There's a million podcasts, a million names, a million whatever. But I think for us, like, it's always the moments that we end up talking about the most. And it's like with the times where like there isn't any spoilers, there isn't like all that rumbling on Twitter. The moments that you don't truly have no idea that's going to happen, they're like really like brings all the emotion, right? So it's like the unexpected part of wrestling. And that's why we're Unexpected Wrestling.
Oh, I like you. But who was the real person that came up with it, though? Who's getting credit for this one?
The politically correct answer is supposed to be both of us, but
it was I think it was me because we was sitting there and we had some name. We had like a different name planned, like Surprise Wrestling or something. And I was like, that sounds whack. Everybody knows surprises. We need something crazy. And it was like, let's go unexpected. We were looking through the thesaurus and everything. I do remember that. We was looking at like words that go with like surprise, and it worked out. I'm gonna take credit.
No, if that helps you sleep at night, that's fine.
Damn, B. One thing I've seen, you guys are a couple, correct?
Yep.
Yes.
Like a couple, like yeah, kissing stuff.
From time to time.
You know, whenever I want to. You know how it goes. When she likes me.
So, how did it, like? Does that ever interfere with things? Like y'all work together? How does that work out?
We assume our roles, right? Like we know that we don't agree. We know it. The things that he's passionate about, I could probably care less about. The things I'm passionate about, he probably could care less about. And so we stay in our lanes, and sometimes it is just like conversations have to come to a silence. Like we're not going to agree, and we just leave it at that.
Yeah, I think we totally at a point where I think we've agreed to disagree on things, and we understand where we stand with, especially wrestling topics. But when it comes to working on the Instagram or the podcast or whatever, like she said, we know our roles a little bit. So the stuff that she's good at with that type of stuff, I'm like, nah, there's no way I'm touching it. Like I couldn't care less. And then the stuff that she doesn't like to do, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll step forward. So we make it work. We've had our little, back and forth, but just like any coworkers, we figure it out all the time.
Well, some coworkers end up having beef for the rest of the time that they're there, but
you guys
work it out.
I'd like to not have beef.
We try not to drive in each other's lane,
Right.
Okay.
You do this, I do this. Don't try to come on this side. I know what I'm doing over here.
Right.
Nah, I love it. So, Dustin, I'll go with you first. What are you passionate about when it comes to wrestling?
Man, that's tough. When it comes to wrestling, I'm really passionate, if I'm being honest, about Black performers. Like I really want to continue to see Black performers in wrestling get pushed to the forefront of not just major companies, but just their divisions in general. A thing that I really love that's going right now is Swerve in Our Glory, right? Like, over there at AEW, especially with a company that has had their situations in terms of, Black wrestlers. That is something that like I'm sitting here and I'm like, yo, like I want to continue to see Black wrestlers getting pushed, getting moved forward, like all of those things, because I really have a passion for that. And like Chriselle, like she's passionate about it, but maybe not to the extent that I am, because I'll sit on the podcast and talk for like 20 minutes about how I'm hating what they doing with so-and-so person. And then, she'll bring up the point like, well, they doing the same thing to this person. I'm like, no, it's different. So it's just always fun for me.
All right, Chriselle, well, what are you passionate about?
So it depends on the season, right? Because wrestling gives you a lot of different things to be angry about, or like, what we're going to fight about. I think I always side on more on like the women's wrestling, and then women's wrestling is more than like, oh, they're coming out and they're sexy. They're coming out and they have like no clothes on. A lot of people are like, oh, bring back like the bra and panty matches. We've gone to shows where people get really disrespectful when like the wrestlers, like the female wrestlers come out, and it's just like, it's really gross. And so that's always my like where I talk more about and get more passionate about. And just the fact that a lot of times that the storylines only revolve around the belts, and like they can't get those good storylines that they could just beef. They could just have beef with other wrestlers that have nothing to do with the title. Like they can have meaningful things, but sometimes the bubble is just so small.
It's interesting how literally you guys, it's whatever you guys are, but what you can relate to is what you're passionate about.
Facts.
You know what I mean? And that's an interesting thing. What is your guys' ethnic background? Where are you guys each from ethnically?
So born and raised in Virginia, but I'm 100% Mexican.
Okay. What about you, Dustin?
So I get asked this question my entire life. I don't know. I'm from Baltimore. So
she's just black.
I'm just black. Like my parents, they just black. My grandmother, she just black. My great grandparent, they just black. Like somewhere down the line, you know, there's some lineage there, but no one's kind of figured that out. So I'm just black.
Question for you, Chriselle. You said that you're Mexican. What is your take on how Latin and Hispanic wrestlers are portrayed in the bigger companies? Because me on our podcast, my podcast I do with my best friend and my brother, Job Cheers, we had a conversation about it, and our co-host, she's part Cuban, and she was like, a lot of times they're not, Latin wrestlers aren't taken serious. I think we only seen that really now with like certain ones. NXT has Legado, that whole crew. Like I love what they're doing with them, but in general, we don't see a lot of it. What are your thoughts on professional wrestling and Latinas?
So my two big things that I always like to say, like right now we have our first like Hispanic women's champion. We have Thunder Rosa in the picture. Her like first day that like she actually got camera time, they like she gets called a wetback on national TV. Like it's like there's so many things that we could have done there, and like she could have been a strong champion, but this is what we do. And I hate to always bring in like the AEW, WWE thing, but it's just an easier comparison. With WWE, it's always been like la luchadores and like that kind of aspect. If you're not going to present yourself as a luchador, then you're not really a wrestler. And you can't be too Hispanic. And there's like a word count. Like you can say like maybe 3 Spanish words, but bring it back to English. Or like the one thing that I do appreciate is like AEW, when they speak Spanish, they'll be speaking Spanish and it doesn't sound like, oh, we're trying to meet a quota. Oh, we said too many Spanish words. Like, let's try to reel it back. It feels more authentic.
I like what they're doing with Damian Priest, where his ethnic background is not his gimmick.
Yeah.
And I think that's like probably the best that I've seen them do. I couldn't stand Alberto Del Rio. I was never a fan of him, but some people were. Not this guy right here. So, professional wrestling, things are changing. We saw the new era of WWE has officially started with Triple H running the helm as the head of creative. You guys have your own podcast, so what are your thoughts on it? Chriselle, you can go first.
You can be a cynic when it comes to wrestling, and like I feel like as being a wrestling fan, you have to like suspend your belief a little bit, right, to truly enjoy it. And I can be like, oh, it's going to be the same thing. They're friends. No, I don't care. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to hold on to this. I'm optimistic. I feel hopeful. It was a great premium live event that like I'm looking forward to everything that has to come. Monday Night Raw, that was great. We're waiting for SmackDown to come by. I will be a full mark for this. This is fine. Like I'm as hopeful as can be.
Dustin, what about you?
I think anybody logically would look at WWE in the last few years, and I don't think you can legitimately say it's been good creatively. Like as a whole, I don't think you can say it's been good creatively. There's been a lot of missteps. So in my mind, I'm coming from the perspective of I'm very excited. I'm very optimistic because I think Triple H, with what he was doing in NXT I think NXT had its moments, of course, with failures, but for the whole, it produced really good TV during those few years that Triple H was in charge. I'm optimistic, but the mindset that I'm having is it cannot possibly be worse than like what as a whole creatively was being put on TV every single week, where Raw was, I mean, 3 hours of wrestling is hard to program. It's hard to do 3 hours of weekly TV, but Raw was a job to get through sometimes. SmackDown was almost unwatchable. You had 15 minutes, 20 minutes worth of wrestling on a 2-hour TV show. I mean, so I'm very optimistic, but I'm also going like, there's no way it could get worse. So I'm excited for what Triple H has got.
It's a different time, and it's interesting, and I think it did put a jolt into WWE in general, because we're like, okay, what's next? And then you mentioned that you're friends with Chriselle, your women's division. They brought Leo in. Then they got Dakota Kai. Bailey came back. Now she got a whole faction and everything. And supposedly Naomi and Sasha coming back. Triple H made a call and was like, "Yo, hey, let's bring them back." So let's do some real quick. So you know how wrestling fans do, some fantasy booking.
All right.
What are we doing with Naomi and Sasha when they come back? Dustin, you go first.
Quickly. So ideally you put them on Raw, and I think you revive the tag division around them, because I think with Triple H at the helm, he can craft a women's division that can be deep enough with enough talented teams that can have a tag team division. So I think you got Io and Dakota Kai. Say you bring up 1 or 2 NXT women's tag teams. You go to SmackDown, you got a bunch of women over there who aren't doing jack. So I think you come back and you revive the tag team division around them. But to be honest, I was looking at them rosters the other day, and I'm like, SmackDown needs Naomi and Sasha. Like, they need the talent and star power. But that's kind of what I would do. I don't know what Chriselle's thinking.
All right. So we had a conversation about how the women's division is changing right now. So I was kind of expecting him. I knew that he wasn't going to say what everybody wants to hear, right? Everybody wants to hear Sasha, Naomi, and Bianca create another faction with Bayley's faction, right? That's too much talent in one spot. So like, I won't say that. And I understand from like Triple H's perspective, like you can't put them all in one little spot. I get it. But I do agree they need to go on SmackDown, and I don't think they need to be a tag team anymore. Even though like maybe to burn it out and see whatever Sasha and Naomi had creatively wanted to do before Vince left. But I don't know, maybe this is like the way you go to get that mid-card title for the women, and you start building that on SmackDown. There's just not enough women to keep the tag team division going.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot going on. But let me get a little personal with you guys.
Okay.
So you guys are a legit couple. First of all, we established that. How did you guys meet?
So I'll take this one. So we met through the power of the internet. So look, kids, I'm not recommending the internet for meeting everybody. I'm not saying that. But, sometimes you get a little lucky. We just met through the internet. I saw her profile. She saw mine. And it was one of them things like, let's shoot this shot. She left me on red, though. When she left me on red 3 times, actually.
Wait, what?
Yeah. I was going for it, though. I wanted it. I wanted it bad enough. And, one thing led to another. And we ended up meeting up. She was working at a camp. And I drove 2 hours? To
3 hours.
3 hours to meet her for the first time. I was a simp. I ain't even gonna lie. I was a simp.
Wait. Time out.
See, I want you to stop. See?
Time out. So, you obviously, she was like, "I bet, let's meet." Is that why you drove there?
Yeah, I'm not just gonna pull up on her.
Oh, okay.
That's wild.
I just want to make sure that it wasn't like you saw her location and you said, "Ha!"
Nah, that's crazy. Nah, she was. We had FaceTimed and a bunch of other stuff, and then she was like, "Hey, I got off this day," and I was like, "Shoot, I'll make it work. Let's link up," and then we made it work.
Yeah, I'm not just giving out my location to random people I meet online.
You try and get somebody caught up on the internet. That's what you trying to do. You saying all the worst things to do on the internet.
No, I thought maybe you saw where she was at.
No.
The location of the thing.
No.
You drove down to camp. It was like, and I was like, yo, this boy crazy. But it worked, obviously.
There's nothing I want that bad that I'm doing that, driving 3 hours on the random. There's nothing I want that bad. That's crazy.
So she left, but hold on, we have to rewind. She left you on red 3 times, though?
Yeah, I mean that's her story.
But it wasn't just like, oh, he said hey and I left him on red. It was like, hey, he like he shot his shot. I responded the wrong way, and then I was like, oh, just kidding. I meant like it was like something like someone literally shooting their shot, and then another one's like shooting their shot and it doesn't go in. And I was like, oh, the second gift where it doesn't go in. And he's like, oh, then why reply? And I was like, oh, my bad. Like, chose the wrong one. Little back and forth, left him on red. Then I was like, oh, I left him on red. I'll continue the conversation. Left him on red. Few days will go by. He had posted something on his story, and I was like, oh, I left him on red. Let me say something again.
Oh, it's not that bad. He just got the worst memory ever.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it worked out. I mean, it hurt my feelings in the moment, but I was like, hey, you know what? It is what it is. Because I was like, oh, she must not be interested. Let me not bother her. See, unlike what you talking about, I'm not trying to bother her on the random. So, you know.
You're not trying to pull up to her job like, hey,
what's up? How you doing? Looking through the window. What you doing?
When was the decision made to like, hey, let's do a podcast together?
About a year ago.
Yeah. It was about a year ago. She had talked about just wanting to do a podcast in general. And because we had some free time and like we talked about a lot of stuff. So it was kind of like, all right, well, what do you want to do a podcast on? And then we narrowed it down to wrestling, and it's been moving ever since.
Yeah, I see that. You guys have had consistent growth as of late.
Yeah. We just hit 8,000.
Premature. We're almost there. We're like 20 followers short. So make sure y'all
follow. Still pretty dope, man. That's dope as hell. And people love couples.
Yeah.
People love couples for some reason. But that's good to hear that you guys are growing something, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And creating something. So you guys got a pod. All podcasters complain. And it is what it is. I don't care who you are. I don't care how nice you want to put it. All podcasters complain. So, Chriselle, you can start this off first. What currently in wrestling do you hate?
I die on the hill. I talk about it all the time on the pod, on Twitter, on everything. All the Usos do is talk their mess and lose. And like they're supposed to be the undisputed champions and they're the bloodline, but they talk their mess, they lose, but they only win when it matters. But it's never something that's like, oh, you know what? It's restored my faith. They're great. And I complain about it because I used to love them and I want to love them so bad. I want them to be a strong tag team. I love them, but what's going on with them? It's trash and I can't get behind it. I just can't.
Like, how you disrespect the bloodline? Damn, Chriselle, disrespect the bloodline.
Respectfully, disrespect.
Dustin, what you hating on right now?
Well, you about to be real mad because I really hate Roman Reigns' title reign. Like, I think it has hit the buns, bruh. Like, it has not been good. I'm not even going to put a date on it. I'm not going to put a date on it, but it hasn't been good in a while. It's the same repetitive stuff with Brock. It's the same repetitive matches. He's not even on TV. They made him double champ just for him to not show up. I mean, I have so many different problems with it. Roman's title reign has come at the expense of, like, if we really want to talk about it, it's come at the expense of Big E being a champion. It's come at the expense of people's characters, you know, getting built up and then getting tore right back down. I mean, where's Cesaro? Cesaro's in a completely different company. Daniel Bryan's in a completely different company. What's Kevin Owens doing these days? They keep teasing the Nakamura thing that's not going to happen. Jey Uso's just his lackey that ain't doing nothing. Like, Roman's title reign has been like a flop. And right now, it's probably one of the things I'm hating the most on TV. Hopefully they can throw some life into it because I did love it when it first started off. And I like the Tribal Chief character. I don't think it's Roman himself. I really don't. But I feel like how they booked him in the last. I'm just gonna say 6 months, just to be even. In the last 6 months, at least, it has been just trash.
Supposedly he was supposed to lose at SummerSlam.
Yeah, and that doesn't work though, because you put it on Brock. Brock ain't gonna be around. Like, what's Brock doing? And I don't know.
Collecting checks, baby.
Brock, yeah, that man is something different. But they not doing nothing with it, so I don't even know.
And if in another universe, Austin Theory was supposed to cash in at SummerSlam, I don't
fair.
even think that was the answer either. No, none of those options were their answer.
Well, that's the point though. Like, they don't have an answer, and I think that's the biggest problem. They still, I think they want it to be Cody, but you know, the man goes and tears his pec, so you can't get around that. That's no one's fault. So I don't know.
I think they keep it on him until Rumble, or they keep it on until Mania.
So
for The Rock.
You think The Rock's taking it off of him?
I think Austin Theory cashes it in at Mania when The Rock versus Roman.
Oh, that's trash, bro. That's trash, bro. That's trash. I'm cutting Mania off. I can't.
Because if they don't find a way to take the briefcase away from Theory,
right?
If the briefcase is still with Theory post Rumble, I think he cashes in at Mania.
Man.
I could be wrong. Listen, I'm not the booker, and I don't got the pencil, but I genuinely think that's what's gonna happen, because I just see that. I just see that happening.
I don't see Theory as a world champion in the next year at least. I can't.
What are your thoughts, Chris? You raised the finger on now. She gave the excuse me.
I just remember you've met Austin Theory, haven't you?
Yeah, we've done work together.
Yeah. So, do you have a soft spot for him? Do you see him as a champion? Do you think you're a little more lenient on his character?
I like his heel work. Okay. I think so. This is me. I'm not that old, but I have an old head mentality when it comes to how my champions look.
Okay.
So I prefer bigger than life type of superstars, like Roman, like Brock, like bigger dudes. But I understand what the future is. The future is leaning towards that Shawn Brett era, where people are smaller, regular sized human beings, like not 6'5", 6'6", 275 pounds. So the only way he could take it off Brock or Roman, if that's the way he cashes it in. It cannot be a straight up match.
Okay.
It can, because it doesn't come off realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have a soft spot? Yeah, because he's a nice dude, but I'm also an honest fan.
Okay. Right.
Do I think he's ready now? No. I think he needs to run through what he's going on, build it up, and if he does want to cash in, he loses it 2 months later. Let's just keep it a buck. We do that to take the belt off and let Roman go into the sunset, because Roman wants some time off. Roman wants to try to go to Hollywood. Mm-hmm. You know, that's the whole concept. And then I personally think Mania LA will be the end and the beginning of definitely the new era in professional wrestling. Because we're slowly moving away from that, because everybody from Roman's era, even the women, are old.
That's true.
Nope.
And not like old, like they're like Goldberg old, but they're moved. It's time for the new era to come in. I spoke to I've done some stuff with Bianca Belair, and I spoke she's the new era.
Mm-hmm.
Her, like Dakota Kai, Leo, that's the new era that we're in right now.
Right.
So, but enough about that. Everybody got a hot take. Everybody got something, every hill that they don't die on. And I want to hear what hill y'all gonna die on. And we like to call this segment the Hot hot coffee take of the day.
Man.
So, Dustin, what is your hot coffee take?
That's tough. I mean, if you're telling me a hill I'm gonna die on, I'm dying on the hill. Kevin Owens is top 10 all time. Kevin Owens is top 10 all time. He is truly one of the few people in wrestling ever who can do it all. He can give you a 5-star match if you want it. He'll throw his body to the wind if you really need it to happen. He'll give you a promo that'll make that he can be a babyface or heel-in, and you'll be cheering for him. There's really very few people that can do it all like Kevin Owens. Like, I love The Rock. I love The Rock, but I don't look at The Rock as a guy that could do it all. Like, The Rock had his talents, and, like, of course, he's one of the most charismatic human beings in general. But, like, The Rock couldn't do it all. Stone Cold couldn't do it all. Kevin Owens is truly someone that can do it all. Am I saying he's at the level of those guys? I don't know, but I think some respect needs to be put on that man's name. He should have been a multi-time world champion by now, if we're really being honest. But he truly is one of the best.
Nah, that's not a hot coffee take though, because to me, I think he is one of the few people you can put anywhere.
Exactly.
On the card. Him and Ziggler, I'm a Ziggler head. I fucks with Ziggs heavy. Chriselle, what's your hot coffee talk take?
So I'm just going to keep it in the same vein. More slander for the bloodline. Seth Rollins could do what Roman Reigns is doing, but Roman Reigns couldn't do what Seth Rollins is doing right now. I don't think Roman Reigns could not be the main guy and still have everybody rooting for him. Seth Rollins hasn't been in the title picture in a while. Like, yeah, there was like that 2 seconds with Roman Reigns, but that was so chopped. But like, he's kind of just consistently been losing. Everybody still loves him. He's still one of the top dudes without like even meaning to be. Roman Reigns, I feel like if he had to do something similar, like he wouldn't be able to successfully do that. But Seth Rollins could be the main guy for WWE.
You guys are talking my language right now because I fucks with Seth.
There you go.
My favorite member of the Shield.
I agree.
I have said this numerous times. I'm a basketball person. I like basketball. Seth is LeBron. Roman is Dwayne Wade. And Chris Bosh is fucking John Moxley, a.k.a. Dean Ambrose. I cannot stand John Moxley.
Whoa!
Overrated.
Wow. Overrated?
Yes!
Overrated?
He's not that great.
Overrated is crazy. If you want to say third best in the Shield, I'll give it to you. But overrated,
y'all be acting like this motherfucker is the next coming of the Jesus right here.
No one's saying that, but you can't sit here and say he's overrated. He's great at what he does. He's
solid at what he does.
What does he do bad?
He does nothing bad. He's solid. He's not bad. He's solid.
Gosh. Oh my. No way. Dean Ambrose, yeah, he was solid. John Moxley is a dog.
What is he doing as a dog?
John Moxley is a dog.
What is he doing?
He will go out there consistently
and bleeds. Great.
He bleeds. I'm not arguing that.
Great.
He bleeds too much. I 100% agree. But you can't sit there and tell me you watch a John Moxley match and you're like, nah, I'm not entertained. Oh, nah, this ain't great. Like,
it isn't great.
I'm not having this argument. No.
It isn't great.
No. So his matches with Wheeler Yuta weren't great.
It was Wheeler Yuta carried that match.
Hey, bro. Hey, bro.
I thought this was going well.
Cut this going off.
Listen.
Cut this off, yo. There's no way.
You can like who you want to like. I personally don't fucks with John Moxley, a.k.a. Dean Ambrose. I never have, never will.
You just called him overrated. I don't have a problem with you not liking him, but you said overrated. That's
He's
insane.
overrated in my world, the Sir Wilkins world. Now, when it comes to Dustin and Chriselle, he is fucking great. But when it comes to me, I don't fucks with this guy. I don't like this guy. I think he's overrated. I think he's a solid B+ player that he just fucking got off on being a deathmatch asshole. Great book, by the way. Great book. Great book. I read his book.
It was a good book. It was a very good book.
Great book. Great book.
B+ player, man. You know what? It's your world. That's what y'all do over there in New York. That's what y'all do. Y'all got
people love him in New York.
No. Oh, so that's what you do. What kind of coffee you be drinking? Because you drinking some crazy stuff.
That's what they do with me. But I just wanted to hear what you guys have said. I'm not a fan of the dude, but I understand why people fucks with him. There's a good 6 motherfuckers on my list I don't fuck with.
Oh my god.
See, I'm shocked, but also there used to be a period in my life where I didn't really rock with Kevin Owens. I hated this dude, but I've been converted. So I used to talk crazy like you are talking about Moxley, but geez, overrated.
Maybe something will happen and I'll be converted to this world of Moxley and I will enjoy what he does. I respect it. Don't get me wrong. I will respect any man that gets into the ring and makes himself bleed. He cuts solid promos, solid in the ring. He's a brawler. I'm not really into brawlers.
What you want to do? 10 flips?
I don't want to do no 10 flips.
Then what you want?
His story that he tells me doesn't pull me in, bro. He doesn't pull me in. He doesn't get me excited.
Okay.
But listen, Dustin, there's no beef here. Please don't hit me.
It's no beef.
You know. And Chriselle looking at me like I'm wild crazy right now. But I just wanted to talk about the fact that I don't fucks with him. But I understand why you guys fuck with him. And this is why I like having these conversations with people, because I want to know why do you guys fuck with him? Who wants to go first?
Chriselle can go ahead. Go ahead.
You're the one. You was already speaking. He's like,
No. Oh, okay. Nah. All right. So for me, it's really simple. For me, I'm a very simple wrestling fan. If you can make me feel, then you got me hook, line, and sinker. And Jon Moxley is one of the best at gripping me with his matches. And I get into them because I'm wondering what the hell he's going to do next. Yes, I agree. He bleeds all the time, sometimes unnecessarily. But I have never watched a Jon Moxley. I'm talking Moxley, not Ambrose. I'm talking Jon Moxley. I have never watched one of his matches and been like, oh, this is boring. Oh, I'm not interested in what's going on. Oh, I'm not into it. His promos even. I listen to his promos and I'm like, nah, I'm tapped into what he's saying. Because he talks like a real person. It doesn't come off as like, oh, I'm talking about my wrestling character. Oh, my wrestling character is talking right here. No, it comes off as like, nah, this is Jon Moxley. I'm going to beat your head in and this is how it's going to go. Let's do this. That's how it is.
Listen, go ahead, Chriselle.
It's that tough guy without trying to be that tough guy. It's that he's relatable, right? So maybe he's not, like you said, you like those bigger dudes, you like the people that larger than life. I get it, but like he does feel real, and like whether he's doing like a 10-minute promo and he's gripping you in with his story, even when sometimes he is a man of few words, but something about like he's just rugged. Like he's a rugged dude that doesn't. Like he can say a lot and get you in, but he could say nothing and just like it's like that saying nothing charismatic type of energy. That like it's like okay, like it's you're dark, but also like you have a lot to offer. And like in the ring, like it's not that I'm gonna flip off of this, I'm gonna do these like power moves, but it's still like, oh, he's getting the work done, and it looks good, it looks authentic. It doesn't look like he knows what he's doing. And I think it's in like almost in that same vein of like, I think like Orange Cassidy, he does it like, I'm a cool dude, I'm not saying anything, I'm not putting that extra energy. It's like the opposite of like what you want from sports entertainment. You want these hardcore personalities that are so extra that you wouldn't see these kind of people in real life. But like Moxley is more of something like it's real. It feels more real.
I get it. I will say his best work promo-wise was when he was with Eddie Kingston.
Yeah, I agree, because Eddie's Eddie. I mean, Those are two of the realest dudes probably. I could see a John Moxley and Eddie Kingston walking down the street. Like, and they deliver their promos in that way of like, if you saw me at a bar, you could see me at a bar. Like, that's how it is. So I 100% agree.
Anybody that you guys don't fuck with?
Oh, man. Chriselle probably can think of it faster than me.
Okay. This is the one that Dustin always gets me on. It's not that I don't like him. I just don't see the hype. Bobby Lashley.
Oh, yeah. You're right. You're tripping.
I'm not saying he's bad, but there's nothing. He's a good wrestler. I just don't care.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's
crazy.
Absolutely crazy. All right, I'll be that guy. I don't really like Liv Morgan. I don't think she's that great. There's nothing about her that she does that grips me and makes me care. And like, she was an underdog, yeah, because they booked her like crap for years. What does she do that's good? Her promos are average. Her in-ring work is average. I like her more than Ronda. Don't get me wrong. Like, I like her more than Ronda. But Liv Morgan is that like new sentimental babyface person that everybody's putting their arms around. And I'm sitting here and I'm just like, nah, I don't get it. I don't see it. Bobby Lashley is great. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow. The streets are gonna know about this one day. I'm not gonna say it. This is gonna piss a lot of people off. I don't fuck with Keith Lee.
What? You've lost your mind. Keith Lee, bro?
I hate his promo work. It bothers the shit out of me.
Okay, I can understand that.
I hate his promo work. It pisses the shit out of me. And it's like, yo, boy, shut the fuck up and just wrestle.
You know, I understand that because Keith Lee got them promos that are very like monotone and relaxed, and I'm using every single word I can think of in the dictionary. I'm too smart for you type of promo. I get that. I understand that. But Keith Lee is that rare athletic big dude.
Oh, yes.
I can't deny that. I can't deny that.
Right. But I just don't fuck with the promos, and it's like, yo, you could be so much more if you got that. Like, he'll be on another level if his promo skills are like top tier. I just can't. He's on my list, man. He's on my list of people I don't fuck with any. I don't fuck with him and Sting.
Wow.
Don't fuck with Sting.
What? Sting is a crazy one too, but I'm not gonna. Okay, you gotta tell me, why don't you like Sting? What about Sting?
Somebody said WrestleMania 17 is overrated as fuck.
Ooh, no, it's probably the best Mania. Probably. I'd have to think about it.
It's a good. I don't think Sting was ever number one. And people act like he was always been a number one. He's never been a number one in the WCW company.
Okay.
And that's why I think he's overrated. Because people treat like he was number one. And he was never number one in the company. He never carried the company. And that's why I say he's overrated, because I don't believe he's ever really. They were like, oh, Ric Flair and Sting. No, Ric Flair was a fucking god back then.
He was.
Like, he was the one that really brought it. Obviously, Sting played a factor, but he wasn't the number one. The number one, he was Pippin. Sting has been Pippin his entire career.
But I don't think Sting's overrated though.
Nah, y'all treat him like he's a god, B.
No, I don't think people do. I think they treat him like a legend. They treat him like a legend
because of longevity.
What's the problem with that?
You can't even name a Fire Sting match that he played a factor in. Surfer Sting? Who gives a fuck about Surfer Sting? And y'all keep acting like this nigga's nice.
I'm not arguing that.
And then I ain't gonna hold you. That crow shit was kind of hard.
It was hard.
I ain't gonna hold you. But he ain't do nothing for like 6 months. They sat in the Raptors.
He did just sit in the Raptors.
For like solid 6 months. And y'all keep putting this out here. And I will keep saying this. The nigga overrated. But He's a legend, but he's not a tier 1. He's not a tier 2. Motherfucker's a tier 3 legend.
He's not tier 2. You're tripping on tier 2.
He is not tier 2.
He's not. He's tier 2.
He is not tier 2.
He's tier 2.
No, he is not.
Okay,
He's
so
tier 2.
if he's tier 3, can you give like one other person that's like on that same level? Because like I'm like maybe I'm just ranking them differently. Like what is?
Yeah. So what's tier 3 for you?
Like,
Tier 3 is Rey Mysterio.
Oh, stop. He's it's a different platform, but he's bigger than Ray, man. I love Ray.
No, he's not.
I love Ray. I think
Ray got the whole Mexicans behind him, B.
Bro, but I'm
the Mexican culture.
I understand. If we talking Mexican culture and everything, Chriselle, you want to give some insight? Where's Rey Mysterio in terms of Mexican culture? Is Rey Mysterio like
lucha? He is lucha. Like he's like the top of lucha. Like
bro, he's God.
Like that's it. Like as far as like there's no one. Everyone's like the book of Rey Mysterio. Like if you're gonna do anything, you're looking at the book of Rey Mysterio. Like that's.
Yo, I would need an entire tier list because that's crazy. It just doesn't sound right.
He's a tier 3, which is not bad. But I keep putting him in tier 1. Tier 1 is God level. That's Stone Cold.
Right.
That's that's The Rock.
Right.
That's Ric Flair.
Right.
That's who else? Who else we can put in that level?
In tier 1?
Tier 1.
Rock, Stone Cold, Ric Flair. I put Bret Hart there. I would put Bret. If you put Bret, you got to put Shawn though. So I get it.
We can even go to the modern era. Cena is tier 1.
Cena's tier 1, most definitely. No one's touching Cena levels modern era though.
Nah, nobody's touching that. Roman at this point is tier 1.
Roman's tier 2 at best.
Tier 2?
At best, he's tier 2.
Maybe even a 3 if we're
he's
being
not
honest.
Roman's. You're gonna sit here and tell me Roman Cena level?
Yes, he's the face of the company.
No. Just because you're face of the company does not make you tier 1. Roman is not Cena levels. He is not even close. It's two different. If you walk down the street and ask somebody who Roman Reigns is, somebody random, you think they're gonna have an answer?
You know what? That'll be my next thing.
Okay.
I'm gonna do an episode on that. I'm gonna walk down the street and ask random people, do you know who Roman Reigns is?
And they're gonna say, no, who is that? Or at the best, you're gonna get, he wrestles? That's the best you're gonna get. They're not gonna know a thing about him.
Yeah, but the thing about it, John Cena has moved on to movies.
But John Cena was big before the movies. Like, people forget, John Cena was John freaking Cena before the movies. Like, he was huge.
So you're putting. So hold on, y'all two are putting Roman Reigns tier 2 or tier 3?
He's tier 2 for me at best. I'd have to think.
You put him at tier 3?
All right, that's kind of wild. That's wild.
If we're putting Rey Mysterio and Sting in 3, if we're keeping to those like levels, Roman Reigns isn't a number 2.
Oh, that's wild. So what do you put CM Punk then?
4.
4?
3 or 4. I
don't like CM Punk, and I can't put him that low.
Punk is 3 or 4. He's not. Is he Rey Mysterio levels? Like, Punk is big in the wrestling space of like hardcore fans, but the most casual of wrestling fans don't give a damn about CM Punk because he hasn't been relevant to casual wrestling fans since 2014, 2015. I love CM Punk. Like, I got a CM Punk shirt upstairs. Like, I love CM Punk, but the casual wrestling fan doesn't give a damn about him because he hasn't been relevant in 7-8 years to the casual of fans. Now, someone like me, someone like you or whatever, we're like, oh yeah, CM Punk. But a lot of people just know him as the guy who got beat up in UFC. Like, that's how a lot of people know him. So that's how it is. He's 3 at best.
I definitely say 3.
I don't know.
I definitely say 3. Where are we putting Seth?
2. 2, 3.
probably. I love Seth, man.
I put Seth at 2. I can't. I'm not putting him at 1. I put him at 2.
He's not lower than 2. He's at 2. He's 2. Seth is that guy. Seth is really that guy.
Where's Kenny going?
Kenny's probably.
It depends on how much you want to weight a casual fan, right? Like how much you're like, oh, because they're a big star, right? Like outside of the wrestling community. Because outside the wrestling community, who? But like realistically, as a wrestler, like if you can put that aside, he is at least a 2.
If we're talking just wrestling, Kenny Omega is tier 2. He's tier 2. Like
if we're talking just wrestling, he's actually tier 1.
In terms of ability, yes.
No, I'm talking about just in general because of what he did in New Japan.
I'll give you
how
that.
Mainstream the company got for that. Because after Kenny left,
I mean
that was like he was their Stone Cold Rock.
I agree.
So that's the only reason why I'll put him at tier 1 as just in the wrestling realm. But if we go into wrestling out a little bit outside the wrestling bubble, he's tier 2 for me.
If we go outside the wrestling bubble, I think he's tier 2. But I can understand what you're saying. He was that Stone Cold Rock for New Japan because, like you said, how mainstream New Japan got for that brief stretch of Kenny Omega. And I mean, anybody with a brain knows those Omega and Okada matches are stuff of legend. So.
Yeah, like he's a god out. He's a god out there back in Japan.
That's facts. I agree.
And who had left when AJ left? That's when they moved him up.
Yeah,
because I read the Bucks book, and they had spoke about like because AJ had came to them was like, hey, I'm leaving. I'm taking the Good Brothers with me, and they're like, all right, Kenny, you're next.
Mm-hmm.
And he did it. He did his thing.
Yeah, he held it down. It's crazy though, because New Japan, like for a brief stretch there with AJ and Kenny, they were in their bag. And I mean,
100%.
Like now you kind of look at what's going on. I'm not gonna sit here and I would say I see everything New Japan does. I wouldn't act like that. But you look at it now and the way it's fallen off, and it's not like they don't have talent. It's not like they don't have the talent, but I don't think they have that American appeal, quote unquote, that can make it relevant over here.
Well, I think it was just great marketing.
Yeah.
By the Bucks themselves with the BTE.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the biggest thing where they did the YouTube channel, then they had Kenny on there, and Kenny's put on these fire matches that everybody's talking about, and then the shit fucking blows the fuck up, and then and you know Kenny's very eccentric, like just a different type of dude, and that helped out a lot.
That's very true.
I think that plays a huge factor in that. Yeah, who are you guys' favorite wrestlers? Top 3 real quick. Chriselle, hit them.
Right now?
Yeah.
Bianca Belair, Seth Rollins, and Danielson.
Okay. Dustin?
Man, right now. Seth Rollins, Bryan Danielson, Ricky Starks.
But I will say I'm missing MJF.
Yeah, I love me some MJF.
What do you think is going on with that before we sign off?
I don't know. I would like to say that like they're holding those in the pocket for something closer to an AEW pay-per-view where he comes back and like there's more of a pop because he's been gone for so long. But I could also believe that there's really like beef going on with him and Tony Khan and like they can't come to an agreement. And like I do think he deserves more money. I do think he deserves more respect in the company. So I can get it either way.
You, Dustin?
I mean, looking at it, I think it started as a shoot where like he really did want his money and he was really pissed off. I genuinely do think they figured something out and they're just keeping him off TV to get a really big pop later. And I hear the argument of, oh, like people gonna forget about MJF, like no one cares. I think that a lot has happened in the wrestling space that, you know, it is very legitimate that people would not care, especially like the biggest story probably in wrestling in years with the Vince McMahon stuff, you know, that kind of has dominated everything. But I think there is that audience of fans where it's like, you're going to hear MJF's music and it's like, oh shit, this is MJF. And then you're going to quickly remember like who he is. So I think he comes back. I don't know if it's next pay-per-view or the one after, but he'll be back. I think he'll be back in AEW. But I mean, I stand on the fence of like, I do think he's WWE bound at some point. When? I don't know, but I think he's WWE bound.
I think it's fun to
Yeah.
wait right now. It's fun to watch and see where all of this is gonna end up. Guys, thank you. This went longer than expected. But that's a good thing. I really appreciate you guys being on here. Let the people know where they can find you guys.
I'll plug the Instagram. You guys can obviously follow us on Instagram at unexpected_wrestling. We post literally every single day. We post at least a reel every single day. Most of the time they're funny reels, jokey reels. So check us out, unexpected_wrestling. And then we also have a Twitter where we live tweet during wrestling shows. So AEW, WWE, whatever it may be. You can find that at unexpected_WP.
Everything's Unexpected Wrestling. And you just put it up, you'll find us. We're there.
Yeah, and we're on all podcasting platforms. So Anchor, Spotify, Apple, Google, whatever you can think of. Just type in Unexpected Wrestling, you will find us. We posting all the time.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was another episode of Coffee Talk with Friends with the Unexpected Wrestling Podcast. Dustin and Chriselle, thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it. Good conversation we had. Kind of annoyed you guys a little bit. You guys took it very well. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
No problem, man. Thank you so much for taking time out your busy schedule to do this. And once again, this is Unexpected Podcast on another episode of Coffee Talk with Friends. Ladies and gentlemen, good night or good morning, whatever you guys listening to this. So, peace.
Peace.